And now it is time for our sermon by Rachel Trenfield, Trusting Your Spiritual Guides.
Good morning, everybody. Those of you that don't know, I was raised by a witch. No, my mother wasn't a witch, although she did believe in curanderismo, Catholic indigenous rituals, limpiezas, which are similar to sagings, among other things. That is probably why she took Carmen in when she needed a place to live. Carmen was the witch that raised me. She was our maid, I suppose, but really, she didn't know more than the rest of the females did in the home. Carmen was with me from the time that I was 1 year old to 17 years old when she passed. That was 2 years after my mother had passed. She was another mother to me. She influenced me more than any other family member because she spent more time with me than anyone else did. When I was about 8 years old, I asked her, "Hey, Carmen, teach me how to read your cards." She said, "Okay." And she sat me next to her at the kitchen table and she laid out the cards and she started teaching me how to play solitaire. And I said, no, this way. And I started laying out the cards in a pyramid formation that you do with the tarot cards. She swiped the cards away and said, "That's not what I do." And she walked away ignoring me. I did spend a lot of time with her. Carmen's influence is with me to this day. I'm a very spiritual person. I trust nature. I know how to cleanse homes and spaces, and I have a keen sixth sense that I ignore because truly, I just don't want to know anymore. I know that life can catch us off guard sometimes, but knowing just causes undue stress. So I blocked my premonitions when I was 24 years old. But Carmen, I can't block her. I can constantly hear her voice in my subconscious. She visits me in dreams. She tells me things like, "Be careful, you will be betrayed by so-and-so," or "Al alba, heads up, watch your back. Go see the doctor about that abscess." To me, Carmen is my spiritual mother, my ancestor, my spiritual spiritual guide. Now, I'm not here to convert anyone. If anything, isn't folklore interesting? I just want to share my beliefs on spiritual guides, but hold on because there's more to come at the end. The idea of spiritual guides is as old as time. Being raised Catholic, I know I believed in guardian angels. When I think of guardian angels, I think of that picture of two children crossing a bridge with the guardian angel hovering above them. You know the one. Some of us had it in our kids' nurseries, and some of us had it in our own bedrooms as children. Doug read the prayer in today's second reading. "Angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom God's love commits me here, ever this day be at my side, to light and guard, to rule and guide." According to Catholic journalist Stephen Beale, quote, "Imagine you had a bodyguard who was always with you. He did all the usual bodyguard things like protecting you from danger, warding off assailants, and generally keeping you safe in all situations. But he also did more than this. He offered you moral guidance, helped you become a stronger person, and led you to your ultimate calling in life." We don't have to imagine it. We already have such a bodyguard. Christian tradition calls them guardian angels. Their existence is supported by scripture, and both Catholics and Protestants believe in them. But too often we neglect to tap this great spiritual resource, unquote. According to Beale, guardian angels ward off demons, protect us from harm, keep us from temptation, intervene miraculously, and a whole long list of other job duties that they have. Another type of spiritual guide that some cultures believe in is our ancestors. My father is very much into praying to our ancestors. He visits their graves and he talks to them. Many times I've taken him to visit my mother at her grave. We take her flowers, of course. We catch her up on stuff. And then Dad usually prays to her. It usually sounds something like this. "Hi, Doña. Keep watch over the children, especially so-and-so. Help her get some juicio. Juicio means wisdom in Spanish, so he usually asks mom to settle us down, which was her role in life. There are many other traditions that utilize ancestor guides, even ancestor worship. My daughter and I celebrated the Chinese New Year at a Vietnamese Buddhist temple here in Palmview with her friends. They guided us from station to station, deity to deity, where we lit incense, prayed, and we offered bribes too. Ultimately, we ended at ancestral shrines where we again prayed and lit incense. It was a very spiritual experience, and I felt so connected with everyone there, including those same ancestors. A paper in the International Journal of Philosophy named Identify the Values of Ancestor Worship Belief in the Spiritual Life of Vietnamese People by Vu Hong Van and Nguyen Truong Long states, quote, ancestor worship is a tradition of the Vietnamese people. Everyone worships ancestors. Everyone worships grandparents. Ancestor worship has become a traditional custom, has a very special place in the spiritual life of the Vietnamese people, and is one of the elements that makes up the cultural identity of Vietnam. The beliefs of ancestor worship are very simple. Ancestors are sacred. Ancestors go into eternity, but they still live next to their descendants. They bless their children when they encounter troubles and difficulties. When their children get lucky, they're happy, and they encourage them when good things happen, but they also rebuke them when they're doing bad things. So it's easy to understand why some cultures feel the close presence of their ancestors as spiritual guides. Others believe that their spirit guides are gods or enlightened beings. In Spirit Guides and Angel Guardians, Contact Your Invisible Helpers by Richard Webster, he states, quote, throughout history, men and women have prayed to the Virgin Mary, Jesus, and the saints, as well as God, and expected an answer. In fact, every time we pray, we're making a spirit contact. Consequently, when we're communicating with our spirit guides, we are sending a message directly to God. Fortunately, by contacting our guides, we are much closer to the creative intelligence behind the universe, unquote. Personally, I make a trip to San Juan Shrine once a month to ask the Virgin Mary for intercession because God knows, her prayers are more poetic than mine. I take her flowers, I light candles for all of those that I'm worried about, which is just about everybody. And I leave my worries to her. In the least, it's therapy. The Gaia website lists the following as the top spirit guides: archangels, angels, guardian angels, guides, goddesses, ascended masters, enlightened beings, ancestors, spirit animals, and elemental energies, which are like, I don't know, fairies and gnomes and other scary creatures. I'm sure I could give a semester-long lecture on the topic, but I don't want to speak solely about these unseen spiritual guides. I want to speak about those guides who live amongst us. As a spiritual person, I trust those unseen spiritual guides, and frankly, I think it's okay to do so. But sometimes we're so bent on finding greater meaning, greater purpose, greater whatever, that we deny what's right in front of our faces, each other. When searching for truth, we seek the unseen, the unknown, the mystical. But why not seek truth among us? You know, people are funny. We are perceivable through sight, smell, and touch. We're three-dimensional. We are real. We're intelligent most of the time. We have lots of life experience, and we each have our own type of wisdom. But you know what else we are? We're egocentric. We always think that we're right, and everyone else, well, maybe not so much. So here's the thing. I've had a long, rough life, and I've learned a lot about life struggles, illnesses, sadness, and a whole bunch of other depressing stuff. My brother-in-law used to say that I got my degree from the School of Hard Knocks. Shouldn't that make me an expert at life? Sometimes when I'm moved by another story, I share my own story with them, hoping to be a comfort to them. I feel that what I am sharing is a gift. I mean, really, some of the stuff is like really private. And if I share it, it's a big deal to me. I'd love to say that people respond positively and that through my experiences, they've been enlightened. But the truth is, I usually get, yeah, but I tried that. Yeah, but this happened to me. Yeah, but this or that. Yeah, but did they not listen to what I just said? Not even a little bit. I just shared my soul with them. Look, I'm no Rosa Parks or Mother Teresa or Betty White for that matter, but I've lived. And what I do know is that when we're scared, when we feel alone, when we're troubled, we need to open ourselves to what's around us. We need to be aware of what is right before us to those that are here on earth. We can hope that a spiritual guide helps us, but sometimes supernatural spirit guides communicate in messages that need deciphering, and sometimes that message is lost to us. Have you ever had that dream where you just know it has meaning, but you can't figure it out? That's what I mean by deciphering messages. Humans, on the other hand, they can tell you directly what's what. They don't have to be old to be wise. They have to have just lived, and you know what? You may learn something from their experiences. And sometimes these spiritual guides on earth are loving, giving, kind humans who just want to help others. When I was in college, I had no furniture in my apartment, and a coworker gave me an old sofa sleeper so I could use it as a bed. What an angel. I no longer had to sleep on the floor. When my best friend died in front of me, a department manager at the store that I worked at told me, go home, rest your mind, just leave all this BS behind. I did, and it was the best thing I could have done. She was a kind intervention. In my late 20s, when I was a single mother and when I was right in the middle of having all my panic attacks, my father would come to my home and make me say a rosary with him until I fell asleep. Now, he was tricky. I didn't know we were doing the rosary. That's when I learned how to do the rosary. My dad was my healer. The kindness of all these people has guided me into what I am today. They make me want to be like them. I want to help others. I want to give because of these people. They've helped me transcend from my pathetic past self. I'm kidding. Think about all those times that someone has come to your rescue. Has your car broken down on the side of the road, and did someone give you a jump just to say, hey, pay it forward? Have you ever locked yourself out of your house and have someone bring you the spare key from 30 miles away? Have you been hungry and someone unknowingly offered you an extra breakfast taco? Yes, of course. We all have had those experiences. Look, I don't want to be cynical, but maybe your spirit guide sent them. But then again, maybe they didn't. Maybe our spirit guides are right in front of us, next to us, maybe. Maybe we haven't met them yet. Maybe we need to open our minds and our hearts to one another. As UUs, we know the importance of the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. I know there's a large part of UUs that see this principle as taking care of the earth, the plants, the animals. And yes, that is part of the principle. But we must not forget that we humans are also animals, and we should care for one another too. Yes, we like to honor the first principle, the inherent dignity and worth of each individual. However, the seventh principle, the web of life, connects us. Before I go, let me tell you a personal story. One day, when I was in the second grade, it rained a lot. I remember standing by the classroom window and looking out to the street that was in front of us and just watching it flood. In those days, most of us walked to school, even second graders. I remember getting more and more anxious as the street began to flood and the level got higher and higher and higher. The water rised as the minutes passed. I was terrified because I knew that I had to walk home and I couldn't swim. At least that's what I remember thinking. Cars started lining up in front of the school and the teachers were letting the kids out early. I was so anxious. I felt so abandoned. I knew that no one was coming for me. Just then, I see this little figure from afar. This tiny indigenous woman with braids. She always wore her braids. The figure was headed towards me. And she was wading through the water. She was waist deep, and she had on a black trash bag as a raincoat. She put a black trash bag on me when she picked me up, and she carried me home. And when I got home, she bathed me so that I wouldn't get sick from the rain. Carmen was my guardian angel, even here on earth. And not only that, her guidance made me a different person from the rest of my family. We kind of have a tendency in my family to be harsh and judgmental. And Carmen's influence has helped me be a little kinder. Not only that, but when I'm being bitchy, I can still hear her voice telling me to behave. Not only should we be open to these guides on earth, but we should also be guides to others as well. A lot of you who are listening to this already are. I know that you feed the hungry, protect the meek, advocate for children. You do it because you're kind and you're giving. But don't forget, you are someone's guardian angel here on earth. Spiritual guides from another dimension are lovely to have. Sometimes we have to be open to them and their guidance, but sometimes we need to trust those guides that surround us here on earth too. Blessed be.